מזמור לדוד. אדוני רואי לא אכסר, בנודש ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינעלני. נפשי ישובב, יענכני במגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי ילך וכיצל מוות, לא ידע רע כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד שורדיי, דשענת ושמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The words of the 23rd Psalm. Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit. Guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Also, welcome everyone watching from home. My name is Rabah Mas, spiritual leader of Congregation Shaarey Zedek, and it's my great honor to be here with all of you, officiating the funeral services for Robert Corne of blessed memory. He was also known to the Jewish people by his Hebrew name, Reuven Abraham ben Chaim Veyeta, Zichrono Livracha. He was the son of Hyman and Yeta Corne of blessed memory, beloved husband of Irene Corne for some 66 years. The father of Leslie Corne Woolman and Jeffrey Woolman, Janet Corne, Michael Katz, Maureen and Avi Slama, and Eric and Amy Corne. The grandfather of Ariel, Yael, and Ashley, Serena, Liav, Neve, Ahira, and Lily. Robert passed away on Wednesday, February 5th, embraced by the love of his wife at the age of 88. We gather here today with heavy hearts to mourn the passing of a beloved husband, father, grandfather, and healer. In this moment of grief, we turn to the words of King Solomon in Ecclesiastes. Tov Shem Mishemen Tov, Veyom Hamavet Miyom Hivaldo. A good name is better than fine oil, and the day of one's passing is better than the day of one's birth. A good name is better than fine oil. In biblical times, fine oil, such as fragrant anointing oil, for example, was a symbol of wealth, luxury, and honor. However, King Solomon teaches that a Shem Tov, a good reputation, a life of integrity and righteousness, is far more valuable than material wealth. Robert's legacy built on acts of kindness and wisdom, is far superior to any earthly riches. The day of one's passing is better than the day of one's birth. At birth, a person's future is unknown, but at the end of a righteous life, one's deeds and impact are fully realized. When a person like Robert Corne has lived well, helping others, creating a loving family, acting with wisdom and compassion, his passing is marked not only by grief, but also by deep honor and gratitude for the life he led. Today, this verse is particularly fitting. Robert leaves behind a Shem Tov, a name of kindness, wisdom, and dedication to his family and community. His life was filled with meaning, and though we mourn his passing, we also celebrate the incredible legacy he leaves behind. Despite his brilliance, Robert always described himself as a simple man. But we know that true wisdom is clothed in humility. As the rabbis teach us, who is wise? He who learns from everyone. And he was an eternal student, always studying, always curious, always growing. A physician, a researcher, a thinker, and a professor, yet he never let knowledge overshadow kindness. He embraced technology, learning from his grandchildren, even engaging with AI and modern advancements, proving that age was not barrier to curiosity. He exemplified the words of the Rambam, who said that a wise person grows in knowledge every day. For 66 years, Robert and Irene shared a bond of love and devotion, a sacred partnership built on respect and companionship. His love for Irene was steadfast, a foundation for the beautiful family they built together. As a father and grandfather, he was not just a presence, but a guide, a mentor, and a source of unwavering support. He did not simply love his children and grandchildren, he invested in them. He wanted to know their stories, their dreams, their challenges. He built a unique, a special relationship with each one of them. As a doctor, Robert was not only skilled, but deeply empathetic, embodying the highest ideals of refuah, healing. The Talmud teaches one who saves a single life, it is as he has saved an entire world. How many worlds did he save with his care, his patience, and his deep commitment to well-being of others? He also carried a special love for the land of Israel, living the words of the book of Psalms, "If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget its skill." His passion for Israel was not just an idea, but a living part of his identity. Robert faced life with resilience. It is what it is, he will say. Never complaining, always moving forward. His ability to accept challenges with grace reminds us of rabbinic teaching, Ezehu Gibor, Akuvesh Yitzro, who is strong, one who conquers his inner self. He was reliable, a pillar of strength. He had a keen sense of humor, a gift for advice, and a warmth that radiated to all who knew him. In his later years, as his health declined, his family surrounded him, his children, his grandchildren, offering the same love and devotion he had given them all his life. The Gemara tells us that the righteous are called alive even after they have passed, because their influence continues. Robert Corne's presence remains with us in the lives he touched, the knowledge he shared, and the love he poured into his family. May his neshama, his soul, have an aliyah, ascending to its rightful place among the tzaddikim. May his family find comfort among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem, and may we honor his memory by continuing to embody the values he cherished: wisdom, kindness, resilience, and love. Yehi zichrono baruch. May his memory be a blessing. Amen. To continue, Robert, I'd like to invite to come to the microphone Leslie, Maureen, and Eric.
A celebration to my amazing father of a life well lived. My father's life was a beautiful testament to love, kindness, strength, resilience, and simplicity. For 66 years, he shared an unbreakable bond with my mother, cherishing and enduring her every step of the way. Their love was a model for us all, a true partnership, one of unwavering support, mutual admiration, and a deep understanding of one another. With all of life's challenges, they lifted each other up with strength, compassion, kindness, and encouragement, always inspiring and strengthening one another with empathy and unwavering positivity. Their love story had a special and humorous beginning. My mother had her eye on my father from the age of 15 and was determined to meet him. She insisted that Auntie Carol introduce them, certain he was the one. My father, however, had other thoughts at first, declaring that, albeit she was beautiful, she was simply too young. Of course, fate had other plans, and it wasn't long before he realized what my mother had known all along. They were meant to share a lifetime of love, laughter, and devotion. As a father and grandfather, he had a gift for making everyone feel special. He took genuine interest in all our lives, offering wisdom, encouragement, and unconditional support. His presence was a source of strength and joy, and his love knew no bounds. I felt especially close to him. We were so much alike. He understood me in a way few people ever could, always acknowledging my feelings, especially during difficult times. His quiet support and deep empathy made me feel truly seen. He was always there for me, and I could always count on him as he listened intently, always giving me sage advice, support, and encouragement. Together with my mother, they traveled to many places around the globe and included us in their adventures. I have such fond memories of our travels through Europe on our way to Israel, where he took a sabbatical and served as Menachem Begin's doctor at the time. Road trips were another cherished part of our lives, traveling across the states with Grandpa High and Grandma Yetta, packed in our station wagon, singing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and every musical we knew at the top of our lungs. Those moments of pure joy and togetherness will stay with me forever. Despite his physical disabilities, my father never complained. He faced his challenges with quiet strength and resilience, doing whatever he needed to do to help himself without burdening others. His determination and grace in the face of adversity were an inspiration to everyone who knew him. Humble to his core, he never sought recognition, despite the deep admiration of those around him. He had a wide circle of close friends who cherished his sharp intellect, curiosity, and witty sense of humor. He had a way of making conversations meaningful, always listening with genuine interest and leaving people feeling enriched by his presence. And then there was his smile, a radiant, unforgettable expression of warmth that made the world a little brighter. His was a life well lived, rich with love, connection, and purpose. His legacy lives on in the hearts of all who knew him, and his spirit will continue to inspire us every day. My dad was the epitome of a gracious diplomat, so calm and so kind. I love you, Dad, now and forever. I know you will always be by my side and in my heart forever until we meet again. May God hold you in his arms, protect you, and bless you with peace, joy, and tranquility. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
When you lose someone who made a big impact on your life, it leaves a big hole. So while heaven may have gained a guardian angel this week, our family lost its patriarch, and the community lost a great member who left very big shoes to fill. Bob Corne was a great man, a loving husband, a dedicated father and grandfather, a respected colleague and loyal friend. He was a brilliant physician who saved and prolonged many, many lives. In fact, we were so proud of our father, the cardiologist, that my sisters and I would often tell people that he was one of the best in the country, as if they had rankings for such things. But you know how we knew? Because everybody said it. I can't count the number of people who have told me how grateful they are for my father and the care he provided for themselves or a loved one. And it made me so proud. Over the past few days, as notes of condolences poured in, one word kept appearing over and over again: mensch. Your dad was such a mensch. A mensch is simply a good person, someone who treats others kindly and honorably, someone you were proud to know and call a friend. Bob Corne embodied goodness. He was a real mensch. My parents were married for 66 years. They honored each other and all of us with their generous, abundant love. Every member of our family knows how much they are loved and valued, and that comes down to the example my parents set, and it's one they saw in their own parents and grandparents. It was all about another important word from my father: tradition. We were not brought up religious, but we celebrated all the holidays together with our cousins, and we were raised to honor tradition, which really meant family. My dad was extremely humble. In fact, while many of his friends often teased my dad about being frugal, I think he was the most generous person I knew. Generous with love, generous with advice, and generous with any support he could provide, emotional, intellectual, or financial. But always the humble man. He would never spend on himself. He would drive his cars into the ground rather than buy the new model. But if anyone in his family needed something, he was the most generous man you could hope to meet. He gave much more than he took from this world. He was a teacher and student, and he understood the value in investing time and energy into his family and friends. One of the most admirable things about my dad was the efforts he went to find a shared hobby with each of his children and grandchildren. One example of this was the NFL football pool that he, my nephew Yale, and I did together. Every week for many years, we always got together to do the picks. Well, there are close to 50 teams in this pool, and this year we finished in first place. My dad was very proud. It's kind of fitting that my dad's funeral is on Super Bowl Sunday. He was often the tiebreaker between Yale and I, and it's hard to believe that he wouldn't have left a note for his pick for the Super Bowl. Chiefs -1.5. It's no secret that my dad had more than his share of obstacles, enduring a debilitating spinal disease that prevented him from playing any athletics from his late teens on. Imagine, he couldn't play a round of golf or a game of tennis with his friends. But I never once heard a complaint or a lament. He struggled with other ailments with his stomach and his eyes, but he just persevered. 10 years ago when he fell and broke his neck, many people would have given up, but not Bob Corne. He worked daily to relearn his motor functions while living his remaining years in a permanent neck brace he could never remove. But 0 complaints. He lived every day with the gratitude and the joy of sharing time with my mom and watching and guiding his flock. Just before my dad died, he told us that he didn't want to be mourned so much as celebrated. And while we are all grieving and hurting right now, he's right. There is much more to celebrate than to mourn. Well, you're gone now, Dad, but you've shown us all the way, and while the road ahead looks a little dark and dangerous, your light still shines in us all, and we know that if we keep moving forward and making progress, building on your legacy and that of our ancestors, we can continue to grow our beautiful family tree and help make a better community and world. I'm going to miss my dad so much, his loving smile, his affectionate greetings, his wise counsel, his blunt criticism, and his unwavering love and support. Now we carry his memory and the things we've learned, his values, forward like a mensch, spreading goodness, love, joy, and strength in his name wherever life takes us. Thank you, Dad. We love you, and we're going to miss you.
Our family would like to acknowledge the people who took meticulous care of our father, Julia, Darlene, Grace, Gary, and Charles. You always showed him such love and respect, and we are forever grateful. And to Marilyn Treppel, my mother's dearest and longest friend, for rushing to her side and remaining with her as all of us made our way to Winnipeg, and for all the help that you have provided during these very difficult days. Thank you, Marilyn. Dear old Dad, I began my letters to my father this way ever since I was 11 years old and a camper at Camp Masad. He in turn signed his letters to me with those very same words and continued to do so right up until our last email correspondence just a few days ago. There is never a right time to lose a parent. You can never be prepared for the enormity of the hole that is left in your heart, or the longing for one last day, hour, minute, or second with them. For me, this loss is indescribable because my father was my rock. I am a daddy's girl through and through. I grew up watching, listening, and cherishing my dad. He was my first teacher. He proofread all my papers. My first dance partner, taught me how to jive. He was my most helpful critic and most avid fan. Not an early supporter of my choice to be in showbiz. He eventually jumped on the bandwagon and derived great pleasure from watching me perform. Academics were of paramount importance to him, and that knowledge inspired me to complete my nursing degree. My father was a man who moved through the world with grace, dignity, and humility. He faced many health challenges with strength and determination, having the strongest will of anyone I know. He had a great sense of humor and a quick wit. He loved a good joke and could laugh till he cried, something I will miss watching. My father had the sharpest mind and was a gifted card player. Learning to play gin rummy is a rite of passage in our family. But bridge became his passion. Forever a student, he read and studied the game, playing competitively right up until the end. My father was kind to his core, and although not particularly religious, he was spiritual. He enjoyed lectures on Talmud and Torah because of his curious mind. He was a student of life and a scholar of humanity. He was an avid learner, taking college courses and online classes on the subjects of history, politics, and art. He was an interested listener and made sure you always felt heard. He was a procrastinator because he wanted to explore all sides of a problem before deciding on its outcome. And as my sister Janet so beautifully expressed at his 80th birthday celebration, whenever she is faced with a challenging problem, she asks herself, what would Daddy do? He traveled the world, and we were the beneficiaries of that, as we enjoyed family trips throughout Europe, Israel, and the United States. Although he was tone deaf, and thankfully none of us inherited that unfortunate gene, he appreciated music and arts. He was a loving husband, a wonderful father, an exceptional grandfather, a loyal friend, and a trusted colleague. Born in 1936 in Winnipeg, my father was the only child of my grandparents, Hai and Yetta Corne, and he was their pride and joy. He skipped grade 2 and was always at the top of his class academically. He entered University of Manitoba Medical School at the age of 18, winning the Ibsen Scholarship, and completed his cardiology residency at the prestigious Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. In 1964, we moved to San Francisco, where my father did his fellowship at UCSF. We returned to Winnipeg, where he joined his uncle, Dr. Norman Corne, in private practice, but he longed to return to the hospital setting, where he continued to see patients and became an associate professor of cardiology at the University of Manitoba School of Medicine. It was during these years that he conducted research in cardiology-related illness and published multiple papers for the American Journals of Medicine and Cardiology. In 1977, our family moved to Israel as my father was appointed as the Lady Davis Fellow at Hadassah Hospital in Jerusalem, where he opened the Department of Nuclear Medicine. He was also Prime Minister Menachem Begin's cardiologist during that year, something none of us were privy to until we returned home to Winnipeg and found a photo of Prime Minister Begin and my father displayed on a shelf in his office. That year cemented his love for and connection to Israel and identity as a Zionist. I used to marvel at the 21, yes, I counted them, framed diplomas, degrees, and honors that hung on the walls of his study at our home. And yet he remained completely unfazed by it all. My father was humble and modest, and if he knew I was listing all his academic and professional accomplishments right now, I would likely be admonished. This is what made my dad so special to all of us who were blessed to be in his orbit. His calm and rational demeanor, coupled with his generous spirit and caring heart, were what made him an exceptional human. My father was madly in love with my beautiful and talented mother, Irene, caring for her in every way, placing her needs above his own in the most organic of ways. Their 66-plus year marriage is a model for my siblings and me, and especially for his grandchildren, each with whom he shared a close and unique relationship despite not living in proximity. Whether it was participating in weekly football pools with Yale, a game of gin rummy with Ashley, an online chess game with Ariel, proofreading Serena's university papers, gaining tech skills from Liav, walks with Neve, talks with Ira, and playing cards with Lily. Family was everything to him, and he instilled that value in each and every one of the 16 of us. He often said that the word in-law never applied to any of our spouses. He considered Jeff, Michael, Avi, and Amy as his own, and most recently, Ashley as his newest grandchild. Daddy, I know you didn't want this kind of send-off, didn't want anyone to make a fuss, but we do this with the utmost love and pride. We vow to carry out your legacy by putting into practice all the life lessons that we have gleaned as your children and grandchildren. We consider it an incredible honor and privilege. So, dear old Dad, I will miss you greatly, but I will carry you in my heart always until we dance again.
Thank you so much. I would like to invite everyone to rise now for the memorial prayer del Maleh Rachmim. El Maleh Rachamim Shochem Bameroimim Ha'ametzei Menucha Nechona תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים, קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע המזהירים את נשמת ראובן אברהם בן חיים ויתה שהלך לעולמו בעבור של מתפללים ועד הזכרת נשמתו בגן עדן בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו לכם בלרחמים אז תראו בסדר כנביו לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים החיים את נשמתו אדוני ונחלתו וינוח ושלום על משכבו ונאמר Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Robert Corne, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. Let us all say, Amen. You may be seated. In a few minutes, we're going to proceed to the next stage at the Shaarey Zedek Cemetery, located in the corner of Main Street and Armstrong Avenue. If you're coming with us, remember to turn on your four-way flashers. Just a reminder, in this day and age, we have to stop at all stop signs and red lights. Immediately after burial, we are returning here at the Shaarey Zedek for the meal of consolation, and the family is going to have a private Shiva. Donations on Robert's memory could be made to Dr. Robert Corne Fund at the Jewish Foundation of Manitoba. So at this time, I would like to invite the pallbearers to exit the sanctuary to assume their places alongside the coffin. Next, immediate family. It's your time to exit the sanctuary. Please proceed to your transportation. As for the rest of us, I would like to ask you to remain in your seats. When it's time for us to leave, the funeral director is going to let us know. The tradition is to exit the building to form two lines outside through which the coffin can find its way to the hearse. But if you feel that it's too cold outside, you can wait inside. But if you can handle the cold, that's a tradition to form two lines outside as a way to show honor and respect to Robert. Please be patient. It's going to be a few more minutes for us. That's our sign. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Thank you, everyone at home, for tuning in.